Welcome. So we're going to answer this question here. It says we need to consider the simultaneous equations this and this. There will be infinitely many solutions when which of the following are true. Okay, so we need to think about this for a second. We've been given two lines here, and hopefully you can see that these lines are in the form such that we've got y is equal to mx plus c. So as you can see here, my m value is my gradient, so it would correspond to that and that. And my c value is the y-intercept, and it corresponds to 2 and j. Now, for two things to have infinitely many solutions, what does that mean? What does it mean for two things to have infinitely many solutions? Well, let's just consider an axis here for a second. I want you to picture this. I want you to picture this line right here. How could I draw in another line with infinitely many solutions? And you might be thinking, what does that even mean? What does it mean to have infinitely many solutions? You know, if I had another line, this would have one solution because it has one point of intersection. So what would it mean to have infinitely many solutions? It has to touch each other infinitely many times. And hopefully you can kind of just imagine it's going to have to be this actually the same line. So infinitely many solutions only occurs if they are exactly the same line, because here they're touching it's touching the other one infinitely many times. All right, let's kind of put that into a statement here, and I'll write it down. Of course, you don't have to write this down, but these videos are meant for your understanding and learning. Infinite solutions, if they are the same line. And hopefully that makes sense just by looking at it here. So what does that mean? How are we going to solve this if they're the same line? Well, if they're the same line, my m value for each line must be the same. The gradients must be the same, and the c values must also be the same. It must have the same y-intercept, and it must have the same gradient. So therefore, we could say, well, k plus 1 must be equal to 2k. So as you can see there, what I'm doing is I'm taking my gradients, and I'm saying, well, my gradients have to be equal to each other. And if that was true, what I'm going to end up with 1 is equal to k. And then furthermore, my y-intercepts have to be equal to each other. So 2 has to be equal to j. So as you can see there, I'm taking my 2 and my j, my y-intercepts, and I'm setting them equal to each other. And now we just look at our answers. K is equal to 1 and j is equal to 2. And what does that correspond to here? It corresponds to A. So that's how you'd think through this question. It's just a matter of knowing what it's asking, and knowing that if to have infinitely many solutions, it means it's just the same line. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.